Hi everyone, welcome to Showtime Talk. I'm your host Tomoya. On this channel, I invite experts and guests to talk about baseball. Today I have Jeff Fletcher, the Angels beat writer for the Orange County Register, to talk about Shohei Ohtani and other major league news. So let's get started. What are the chances of Angels making the playoffs at this point?
I haven't looked exactly at the mathematical chances, but I'd say it's probably 4 or 5%. It's not just where they are in the standings, but they really haven't shown anything that would lead you to believe that they're going to play well enough to have a good winning streak. I mean, they're finally getting some better pitching. Their starting pitching was very, very good in July, but the hitting now has been the problem. But they're missing Trout and Rendon and Walsh now, and they're just not scoring any runs, and it's really tough for them to win that way. They do have an opportunity with a little bit of a softer schedule in August, but if they do get things going, and if Trout and Rendon do come back and are good, they could make a little bit of a run and make it a little bit interesting, but it's still very long odds against them at this point.
Do the Angels have enough pieces at the major league level and in the farm system to be a contender next year or the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, that depends on all these young players that are coming up. What's really been lacking for most of the time when they haven't been good is their starting rotation, and actually the bullpen too a little bit. And the starting rotation is going to rely on Patrick Sandoval has come up and had a great season so far, a great couple months since he's been in rotation. If he continues that, Jaime Barria has just had a couple starts, but he's looked pretty good. Jose Suarez has looked pretty good. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is pretty good. Griffin Canning was pretty good. Now he's been out. He's got a back injury. There's still hope for him to come back. And we got Reed Detmers and Chris Rodriguez now. And both of those guys certainly have a lot of talent. So if you take that group of, 6 guys, if all of a sudden 4 of them become above average starters, then they look pretty good. And if they can stumble into some good relievers, which is sort of how it happens, you sort of stumble into them because it's hard to predict from year to year how good relievers are going to be, then all of a sudden they're a much better team. Even right now, for all the things that have gone wrong, they're just a couple games under 500. So they're not horrible. They just need to be healthy. They need to have Trout and Rendon play and be good. And they need to have some of these young pitchers come up and be good.
Why is it harder to predict relievers than starters?
By their nature, relievers are not as good, and that's how they get to be relievers. Because basically starters are more valuable. So your best hitters, you want them to be starters. And if they're not good to be starters, then they become relievers. So then you're dealing with kind of guys with talent to begin with. And the other problem is that there's such a small sample size of their performances. A reliever can have, a stretch of 10 innings where he's hit pretty hard, and it can ruin his stats for the entire year. It's starters, who are going to throw 150, 175 innings, they have a little more room to absorb that kind of thing. And a reliever, you can basically come in and make a couple mistakes and lose the game for the whole team. So it's very difficult to be a reliever, and there's a lot of teams that have good bullpens that are just made of guys that you never heard of that just all of a sudden have good years at once. So it's not like you need to go out and buy the biggest names on the market. You just sort of need to get lucky and have guys that come together and have good years at the same time.
Talking about the major leagues in general, what were some of the biggest trades this year?
Oh, the Max Scherzer to the Dodgers, Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. That was certainly probably the big trade that everybody's talking about. Chris Bryant going to the Giants. The Cubs actually pretty much dismantled their World Series winning team with Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, and Anthony Rizzo all got traded. The Nationals also traded a lot of other guys in addition to Scherzer and Trey Turner. So I think they were realistic about their chances of going to the playoffs this year, that they didn't look good and they needed to refurbish their farm system. And that's, I think, what smart teams do, is that if your team is not looking good in the major leagues, you need to rebuild from below. And the way to do that is trading away your major league players. That has been a little more difficult for the Angels in recent years because of Mike Trout. So you don't want to really ever give up on a major league season when you have Mike Trout on your team. There were a lot of years, not just this year, but kind of in the bigger picture, where their farm system was bad. So they couldn't really trade away minor leaguers to improve their major league team. And they couldn't trade away the major leaguers to improve their farm system because then they would sort of be giving up on the present while you have Mike Trout. So they were sort of stuck in the middle a little bit. And I think that's really the biggest reason why they've been kind of floating around mediocrity as they have. It's not a good combination to have a really bad farm system and a Hall of Fame major league player at the same time. They've never really been able to do what some other teams do, where you just trade away a bunch of major leaguers and say, we're not going to be good this year, but we're going to really improve our farm system. The Braves did that several years ago. The Padres have done that. The Cubs did that kind of to get to the World Series. The Angels never really had that option because of Mike Trout.
Compared to other sports, I guess it kind of shows that baseball is so hard and difficult. Even if you have the best player on the planet, you still can't contend just with that player, right?
Yeah, you need to have a lot of good players, and it's not just as easy as, well, just go get some great pitcher, because you need more than that. I mean, look at the Yankees have Garrett Cole, who all Angels fans wanted to get, and the Yankees are not much better than the Angels. The Phillies have Aaron Nola, who's a number one pitcher, and Zach Wheeler, who's a very good pitcher, and they're not much better than the Angels either. So you need to have a lot of good pitchers and a lot of good position players, not just a couple stars.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future videos. You can also watch our past videos from the description below. Hope to see you again next time.